Welcome to the Squarebase Podcast, your home for the official and unofficial Old World news. In this episode, we are dealing with the launch of the Old World and the emotional hangover that we all feel. Me and my co-host, Val Heffelfinger, are about to go through the deep and dark of the launch, and we're about to bring you some good tidings.
Just let it go a little longer there, because it's a big day to be here, buddy. I think we're the last ones excited about this, Rob, so we're going to have to pump up an entire planet.
Yeah. We might be the only people excited at this stage about the Old World launch, I think. I'm excited to be here. And I am a little bit nervous as well because I didn't check the last episode and I didn't check which shirt I was wearing. And
it's
I really want
to...
God damn it!
I'm virtually positive that that everyone's just going to think that we recorded this 6 months ago.
Oh, no. Okay, right.
In an undisclosed location.
Listen, it's so fantastic to have you here. So it's a Sunday morning here at the TSN Arena where I am. And it is 5 a.m., I think, over there in Canada. 6 a.m.?
6:39. I took my time getting here. So, 6:39 Canada, on a Sunday morning. Yeah, we are identical, except I'm wearing a beanie today.
But we obviously are live on Twitch, so a shout out to the Twitch chat, fantastic people. Hope you're well, and thank you everyone thank you to literally everyone who has left comments on the YouTube, the podcast, and support us on Patreon the past few days. I want to say that I will get into like my thoughts about the launch of the Old World in a bit. But I'd just like to start the show off from me and Val for your kind of kindness and support, because it's been really awful on the internet, but uplifting in the YouTube comments. And I never thought
which is messed up.
That's messed up. The Discord positively throbbing is how I would describe it. So I want to thank all of you for that. That's straight from the off. Thank you for being the people I want to interact with on the internet. That's exactly how I want to start. Val, how are you?
I'm great. I want to say this. You know who reads their YouTube comments to feel good about themselves? Nobody except us. Because it's ridiculous. Like literally yesterday, I was like, man, I'm feeling kind of bummed. I'm just gonna go read some nice YouTube comments. So thank you, everybody. They are the fuel of my dumb dancing, and as is incredible excitement that we can actually start like talking specifics, playing this game. I'm no longer involved in a lot of holiday-related festivities. I'm not in my car. I got to the was second in line at Warhammer World, and I missed out on all the limited edition stuff. So I don't know how that worked out. But
does it turn out that when you finally did get inside, that their new website didn't actually work on their in-store computers? Because that would be the dream.
Actually, turned out it's just a dildo factory. It was weird. I went in there and it's just a bunch of people from Lithuania making dildos. I was very surprised. It was just a front operation.
Outrageous. Okay, so you're back. I'm excited to have you back, especially because there is just I would describe it as a glut of information out there.
A glut of information and content. In my head, I just see us in our little fucking Squarebase rowboat. We've just been out in some pretty calm seas, whistling to each other. Maybe we packed a few sandwiches in a little basket, and then we just looked over our shoulder, and there's this fucking massive wave just coming at us, and we're just in our little rowboat. And that
Squarebase away.
Just square bassing, and we're just gonna ride right to the top like George Clooney in that movie where the wave was the other character. And perfect storm, because we are a perfect storm, Rob, and we're gonna crest this wave. We're gonna ride it right on through to the other side into what they call the trough, and just surf it on through, man. So it's tubular.
This episode is going to be about the launch of the Old World. Our initial thoughts. We'll talk about some of the rules later. There were also some major points. We're going to talk about legacy armies. We're going to talk about production issues and a bunch of stuff. So this is kind of what the show is today. Obviously, in the future, there will be tons of Tactica videos, Tactica deep dives. There'll be like nonsense chats. There'll be all sorts of things. But this is just going to be talking about the launch. And before we do that, I would like to ask you if you saw what happened at the Bass Pro Shop in I think Maryland yesterday.
I wish I had, because that is very germane to my interests.
Okay, exactly, me too. So So obviously Square Bass, hashtag the Bass. Yesterday, on the launch of the Old World, I think in celebration of the Bass, a man got completely naked in the Square Bass shop and then jumped into the fish tank, a giant, massive fish tank. Yeah.
Right.
And now the audio is poor. Like, not the audio is gone, so you can't hear, but I'm assuming he's screeching. Yeah.
Yes.
What has happened to the Old World?
Yeah.
And I saw that yesterday on Reddit, and I thought, do you know what? There's no more perfect representation of the past 24 hours than that moment. So thank you. If I could show it, I would, but I can't.
On Twitch, I think you can show it, but it wouldn't make it on YouTube, probably.
Yeah. So let's just talk about. So obviously, launch yesterday. What did you pick up? Let's start with that. Let's start with some rampant commercialism. What did you pick up?
What did you buy?
What did you get?
What'd you get? Let's. I got a big box from Games Workshop. No, I didn't. No. The content is amazing out there, guys. This is what just so you know, if you're releasing a big product and you need it, if you're releasing a big product and you need a network of influencers to help you get the word out, don't send it to them in Christmas and New Year's, because literally they're gonna take a video of the friggin' box, and that's what you're gonna get. Incredible. Not even like the packaging box, like just the box.
My favorite, I don't know if you saw, one guy he was just like leant against the wall with all the boxes all over him. And I was like, I found it quite gross, is how I'm going to describe it. He was just like, look at this stuff. I'm like, he's like, what's in the box? Like, I don't know. I don't care about this game. Just like,
He's just like they're just the rose petals from American Beauty, just getting pelted by boxes, Games Workshop boxes. Jeez Louise. What was the question?
What did you pick up?
Yes. What did I pick up? I picked up a positive attitude about all of this. And also, because I am a different form of insider, I called my friend at X Planet Games in Mississauga, Lionel, who has hilariously hated everything about the Old World as a listener. He has hated everything about the Old World. He's thought we are silly and dumb for have been doing this show because he thinks it's stupid. You know why, Rob? Because he actually really loves AoS, and he's come to really love it, and he thinks it's a wonderful game. And he finds that this game's a little too complicated for him. And I said, Lionel, I respect your decisions. And also, here's a bunch of money for all of the books and the Bretonnian box. I did wind up buying the Bretonnian box.
So did you get all 5 books?
There's 5 of them? Yes, however many they were. I just literally was like, Lionel, put it on my tab, please, sir. Charge it to the account, Lionel. And then...
Shout out to Lionel. X-Planet Games.
X-Planet Games, yes, absolute big shout out. In Mississauga, which conveniently is referred to as Toronto when we need to use any of his store to do stuff. And then I used another insider connection. Apparently, this is a hack, guys. I didn't know this. Maybe I'm throwing someone on their bus, but I don't know which store it is. But apparently, if you go to GW, like literally physically to GW, and you place your order, they get in the queue 15 minutes before everyone else.
Oh.
This is I don't know. This is just what I heard. So as a result, I got all my cards and I got all my sleeves. And I got I got the limited edition book. No map. Map in Canada was either sold out or not, or not existing. And I also got the limited edition Black Library book. My first ever Black Library shelf decoration. So I look forward to having that lovely thing.
So I do have a friend over in Italy who's asked me if I will run over to Warhammer World on launch day to try to pick up a map. And I have offered that service. I could offer that service for everyone in the world, but at some point you're going to have to start paying me some pocket change. Yeah, you get my little, get my cute butt over. It's the variety of mustaches I'm going to have to put on. And as we already know, I'm not that keen on changing my shirt, so I'm going to have to.
Also, when you're doing a mustache disguise, your only option just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So I mean, like, eventually they'll just send you right to the front of the line. Yeah. So you know.
So you picked up everything. Okay, but you picked up.
No, I didn't get Tomb Kings. I didn't buy. I didn't buy any of the expansions on the army. So much fun stuff. Talk about all of that. Amazing. So I didn't buy any boxes of regiments or anything like that. I grabbed the Bretonnians because I feel like, well, one, I had a friend who was like, "Hey, could I get the horsies out of that?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't need the horsies." I wanted the Pegasus. I wanted the book. I wanted them whippy sticks, and I got to mail you some templates. So I feel like it was a reasonable pickup, and then I got my, cards and reference stuff, which I think is fun.
Fun. Okay, good. All right. So I live streamed going through the shop process with the chat yesterday, which was quite amusing. And then it was a good healthy kind of like splash of reality shopping in front of 200 people.
Just the whole gamut of yeah. And how did it go? What did you also, I get called out in the comments. I have to address the Grail Pilgrim in the room here, Rob.
Yes.
I did not buy how many? One Reliquary and 12 Grail Pilgrims for 180 Canadian dollars.
You didn't.
I did not, and the reason is
I thought this was it. This was it for you. This is the moment.
I did not because literally I get off the show last week and I go on my phone. I had a Patreon update from Highland Miniatures in which they've just gone full bootleg mode. Like it's hilarious. Their stuff is just like their dwarves. I feel like are their own thing, but their Bretonnian line is pretty good enough to me. So I grabbed myself the Highland Miniatures Patreon again. I haven't subbed to them in a while, and I'm going to be getting some resin printed Grail Pilgrims just in case.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, they are very good. Okay, well, that's a shocker. I thought that would be... You don't have to worry, though. It still did sell out. We'll talk about that in a moment. You know what, guys? It's all right, though. You can still go sub on Twitch to Games Workshop if you just want to give them some money. You can throw them some bits just in case you're worried about them. Yeah, I think they might financially not do that well. Then just
they might take away Old World if we don't give them all of our money. So.
Okay, I ended up, honestly, I had a little bit of, not breakdown, that's not the right way to describe it, but I was with the Twitch chat, splashes of reality. I've very often said on those Wargamer that the books are not worth it. Normally,
So did your uppance come?
No.
Unlike me, I only went one show hyping up something and then turning my back on it. Rob has spent some of us have spent. He spent a lifetime online talking about how books are bullshit. So go ahead, Rob. Sorry to interrupt.
Novels are great, obviously. I do like the books and previously bought the books, but in the agency 40K ecosystem, obviously they're so quickly outdated, if not immediately updated with FAQs and other stuff, and the lore is copy and pasted.
Yes.
But I didn't pick up any books, zero. Zero, even though, the other day I got myself into the hype. That was the problem. I got myself into it. I got myself into the cycle. I was like, of course I want the books. I want them on the shelf. I'm going to... And then when I looked at how I would be spending close to 150, 160 pounds just on books before I bought a mini, I did not do that. I was like, no, that's stupid. Stop being stupid. The books are going to be online. You can get an EPUB. Just stop it. So, and then instead, yesterday, I actually went to the local gaming store. And I picked up there was a Christmas box for Slaves to Darkness because over Christmas, one of the people at the event asked me to 3D print something for them because they have a 3D printer. And then they traded me I think it was 20 new Warriors of Chaos for it. I was like, this is an amazing deal. Are you sure? They were like, yeah, no problem. So I was like, do you know what? Fine. So I went and picked up for this about the same price. I picked up a box. I got myself an amazing Lord on demonic mount. Well, I'm going to do it on a horsey instead of a demonic mount, I think.
Yeah.
Pick up some Chaos Knights, another 10 or so Warriors. I think it was 10 Chaos Knights, and I got myself I think is there a chariot in there? There's some Chosen, and then there's some Therodons in there as well, which is big beastmen with great axes. So I think I've got a good backbone of a Warriors of Chaos army as well for the same money.
And you gave your money to Lionel. or whatever the name of the guy.
Lionel.
Lionel.
But the thing is I still gave my money to Games Workshop. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even 3D print something. I did go and buy some minis, which is cool. And actually, I built them yesterday. If anyone wants to see, here's a quick picture for everyone. I built them and stuck them on some square bases, and I think they look quite nice.
Bro, those look so good.
Yeah, I was actually... So I actually had a Warriors of Chaos army in 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle, a whole one, fully painted. I had custom texture bases that you buy, with like the detail on, which was a bit of a thing back in the day, a bit of a flex. I painted each one of those bases individually. My Warriors of Chaos were mounted on them. I was like, I am the king shit. And then they destroyed the game. Lol. And I never painted again. But anyway, I think the Warriors look great, so I'm pretty chuffed with that.
I like that one.
And so that's what I did. But I did pick up the cards because, but again, that was still an offensive amount of money for the cards. I think based on doing stuff for myself. And I was like, I'd looking at it and I was like, well, I think it was about 80-ish pounds. And I was like, I can just pay someone, a designer, to make all those as cards for me and print them out for less, and also produce something for like the Patreon as well. And I obviously wouldn't do that because that would be piracy. But maybe I would still do that anyway. Who knows? Maybe I'll still do that anyway. Who knows? Yeah, a fan project. That's what.
All bets are off. All bets are off. I'm pretty sure that what do we got? We got 5 people. Let's say working on this project at $25,000 a year, 125 grand. Let's say $500,000 to $750,000 invested in Old World so far by GW. I think they made that back okay yesterday.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they're just fine, guys.
They're fine. Okay, so that was my yesterday. I picked up the cards, and then instead of spending money on the books, because I'm just going to get them via the way I normally get books, because I personally, and I've said this before, I think rules should be free. They describe themselves as a miniatures company. They should be making you buy the minis, not buy the rules. So I followed through with that, my own philosophy. I put my money where it was. I didn't go and 3D print something. I support the company, I guess, not that they need it. Obviously, that's stupid. But I picked up some wicked models. Warriors of Chaos look wicked. The Lord of Demonic Mount is a fantastic sculpt. Absolutely fantastic. I was a little bit gutted. I really wanted to give him the hammer, but I think the lance will be better looking at some rules yesterday. That's what I think.
I'm surprised that you didn't. I'm surprised that you didn't also splurge on that wicked. Hey, we were supposed to share cool shit that we found on the internet, and I'm surprised you didn't share that awesome Chaos Lord on a Dragon conversion I sent you.
Oh,
and you didn't buy the bits to that. Remember that guy?
That. Yeah, that's just too spenny for me because that's Ionis.
Is
he? Yeah, like I was.
Ionis is a special guy.
Yeah, he's in a box. It's like £100. But it's not that like. I also had to really convince myself to get the Lord of Demonic Mount. I need you to know that. And I only picked it up because he was in this box with a bunch of other stuff, which were kind of a discount. So, but it was expensive because he's like £35 for a character model. And I really believe that you just take a normal Chaos Knight and you just say, he's your Lord. You just do that. Yes. you just do that. It's like, yes, that's my firm belief that you do that. So anyway, that was my day yesterday. Streamed a bit. And me and the chat had these really healthy conversations about what was popping off. Then we started to look at the content that was being made, which was fun. And then we got into, I think, the funniest part. And then the internet started to have a really normal one. So let's kind of move this conversation forward. What happened next is, A, the prices on everything were nuts. So we should definitely mention that. But also, B, then everything sold out.
Like it was, in like the fire swamp where in Princess Bride, how they could hear the rumbling before the explosion of fire came. That was like everyone watching as like the time zones tick through and the web carts open and like just blown out, just across the planet. Old World was sold out, which is what happens when you produced not very much stuff to meet a lot of demand. So, yeah.
Just before we kind of move on and get deep into the story, I'm just going to share this conversion that you showed me. So this is Ionis Cryptborn here. So he's a Stormcast model, but then he's been kit bashed with the Lord of Demonic Mount, the one I picked up yesterday, which looks great because we do confirm now, looking at the rules, you can have a Chaos Lord or a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Chaos Dragon, and it is legit. It was 10 wounds, toughness 8. It's going to have a 3 up, 5 up. You can make it so that you re-rolling 6s to hit in combat. You can, like, 2s never wound it. There's so much crazy stuff that you can do. It's amazing. So
in the spirit also of I'm horrified because in the spirit of crediting artists, I was just sharing this with Rob with the intention of him, because he's been looking for a good model to either 3D print or source or whatever to be his Chaos Dragon with Lord on it. And so I continue to stay up late at night looking for dragons. And I thought this was one of the coolest ones I'd seen. And as a non-AoS guy, didn't know that that's a common model. And then I didn't make a note.
Brand new model.
I didn't make a note at all of who made that wicked conversion. And so if that was you, please let us know in the comments, and we'll pin that somewhere. Because sorry about that.
That would be cool. Yeah, definitely. But it looks great, I think. So yeah, maybe I'll pick it up. Maybe. But I probably won't. I don't know right now. Right now, I'm very, very excited about a Brick of Chaos Knights, a Hell Cannon, and just doing some magic. That's where I'm at right now mentally.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think that's also like a nice base to start from and learn rules and get going. It's going to be very spendy points wise too. So a good points dense army also, Warriors of Chaos. If you're looking at things and you're like, I don't want a lot of models, Warriors of Chaos, very good one.
Yeah, like I would love to do Orcs and Goblins, but like I want to get started this year. So
yeah. I'd like to have a semi-painted, completed army this decade. Yes,
just built. I'm not sure you could build an Orcs and Goblins army this year, but anyway, okay, so. The main topic, well, not main topic, one of the main topics has to be the fact that, like, the production level or the availability of miniatures. And so, okay, so two things could be true. One, that it grossly oversold, like way more than Games Workshop thought, or they underproduced stock.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that they are producing as much as they can for what they think they need to produce, if that makes any sense. So there's a lot of 4D chess going on here that it's funny, like a lot of the arguments for Tesla I often hear made for Games Workshop, which is like, no man, they're just like one step ahead. They're doing like they're thinking better than you. And as someone who has gleefully, and also I shared my attempt at a viral message last night in our chat, like as someone who gleefully reads all of their reports, because one of my favorite hobbies is actually like watching the company and engaging with it on that level as an organization and as a manufacturer and as an entity. They brag about their production capacity in the 2023 annual report and how they don't need to make any more. So what does that mean? That either means that this is a company that thinks that it's meeting demand and it doesn't need to make more, or they are purposely underproducing. I suspect that it's more of a case of not knowing, not being able to estimate demand, because we see maybe not just as often as they oversupply that they undersupply, but they also oversupply. So there are times where they will make too much of something and you see that thing sitting on shelves for a very long time. And so they do miss the mark a lot on that. And a lot of that I think has to do with, their enterprise management and their ability to take the information that they have about their customers and what they anticipate and what they're interested in and translate that into how much stuff they have to make. Because they had a multi-year, almost 10-year project to create a software solution like that within their company, which it fell apart and they gave up on last year. So good job, guys.
Okay, so I guess I'd like to reframe the question a little bit and get an answer from you. Okay, yes, Games Workshop obviously didn't produce enough stock for demand, but do you think, right? Like, and I guess 40K, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda are all kind of good benchmarks for you to kind of base this opinion off. And same question to anyone watching this back as a video or the chat right now. Do you think that, because I have an opinion on this, but I'll give it after. Do you think the hype was very, very, very real and very high? Yeah, and far outstripped kind of even their poor like stock management? Or you think like, it barely pushed over the line? Where do you think we're at with that?
I think we've been saying this the whole time, that like this game is going to blow away not only the community expectations, but the company expectations for how much interest there's going to be for it. I think unlike this is something that I think I've certainly said, I think you've agreed with. There are other games that have gotten good during the sort of reascent of GW, which starts roughly 2016. So roughly 2016 is when GW says, you know what, we're not a model company. Turns out our name is Games Workshop, and we branded our stores at Warhammer, which is a game. So we should probably focus on that. And they really do turn around. Credit where credit's due. They turn around and they start engaging with the community. They start going back out on socials. They start, as much as we want more, obviously, they start, giving us ideas and previews of what's coming. They start, just doing stuff that a company that's, making things for people should do, and started engaging with a hype cycle. And all of that excitement and all of that positive momentum that has led to great results, both for the company and I think, honestly, for Age of Sigmar and for 40K fans, there was never a product for people who just really like the old world, who like the
World of Legend.
And
that's new. That's new. A new feature.
That's a big thing. That's just something I like to do. And now, but they were told 5 years ago that there would be someday. And there have been these video games that are really, really good that people can just, who aren't getting their fix on the tabletop, but know that this is coming, they can go play Total War and wait. And I think they did. And now it's here. And I think a lot of people are just bursting to get all the stuff and get engaged and do things. And I don't think I don't think they were ready. And I think that was purposeful. I would say, though, that a release like that, almost certainly already from like a, top line revenue expectation type of situation for the company, blowing out whatever their initial production run was, literally selling every morsel of it in many, many cases, means that this game is already doing just fine. Like they have, we can almost immediately stop worrying about that just from the incredible performance of like that initial release. So yeah.
So and thank you for your thoughts. My thoughts here are that, well, I mean, fucking told you.
Fucking told you guys.
Fucking told you guys. That's I was on the stream, I was screaming a year ago. Everyone was not even like from a position of desire. I was just like, this will be huge. You have no concept of how huge this will be. I said this and I said this consistently, and everyone was like, you're an idiot. This isn't how it's going to work. And I was like, cool. All right, we'll see. Okay.
Did everyone say that, Rob?
Not you, buddy. That's why you're here. Okay.
I said, you goddamn right. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and talk to you about this for a year.
All right, not you, buddy, but everyone else, right? And anyway, so I'm not surprised about yesterday. I am again not surprised about Games Workshop stock issues. It's because we've been seeing this consistently, for the past few years from them themselves. I do also think they're very wildly out of touch with their community, and I think nothing more kind of showcased that than some of the influencers who picked up stuff. Listen, if you do influencing for a job, that's super okay. That's fine. I understand what your business model is. It's chill and there's no stress. But in some
Rob's
cases,
a bit of an influencer himself.
not. I think what's infamous is the other way to describe it.
He's an infomercial.
But the reaction was kind of palpable, and I could see that online. And actually, I had a day yesterday. We'll talk about this more in a bit, but it was very unnormal. My day yesterday, the rage that was, especially Twitter, obviously. Was very aggressive. I had a lot of very aggressive people swinging at me, which was amazing. The amount of people.
So you keep saying that we all had a normal day yesterday. What are you specifically referring to? What do you mean? Like
everyone lost their goddamn minds.
In what sense?
Like a gospel church, like a gospel church, and someone raised up snakes. Yeah, there were people fainting. Right? There were I'm talking about. I'm talking about John Belushi doing backflips in the Blues Brothers. That's what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about insane stuff. And
But like mad that they couldn't get stuff, happy that it was here, like, or just all of it.
so there is a group of people online who I all have muted, and they have this same news cycle where they're like, some of them are mad that stuff is out. Some of them then are like mad at people being mad that stuff is out. Other people being like, and then other people being like, oh, I can't believe people are rowing, or like. So I just kind of have all those people, and they're classic kind of like people, and I have them all muted, so it's not really what I'm talking about. Just regular people. Some people being like, I don't give a fuck about this, and I'm like, that's fine, that's great. Like, don't yuck other people's yums. And those people, that's a super normal opinion. Some people being like, I'm fucking stoked, and I'm like, that's great. And then that being stoked, running into, I can't buy it. And that being like an absolute, and that being...
Or my army is a legacy army. Yeah.
Or my army is a legacy army. We're going to talk about that as well. And so, we kind of led into yesterday with my army being a legacy army. So there was so many upset people because, and I genuinely believe Warhammer is something that people should be and are passionate about, or wargaming, let's say. And their feelings are very valid. People are like, Rob, I'm fucking angry. I'm like, of course. Because if you're passionate about something, it's going to push into anger very simply. They're like angry, I can't play my army, or this is bullshit, or this is bullshit. We'll talk about that because I think many of those feelings are very valid, but they're not correct.
It is bullshit. I mean, let's not like leave anything let's not say this. It is bullshit. A, how expensive it is. It's bullshit. And B, the fact that there's not enough stuff. It's bullshit. Because there's two reasons that there could be not enough stuff, Rob. One, that they're doing it on purpose to create this exact sort of like frothy like engagement cycle of like angry and happy and people just mixing it up and getting lots of mentions out there, just like Facebook wants you to do, which sounds pretty strategic, or they're incompetent and they're not able to meet their promise to their customers.
It's B. It's so B. They hate money.
It is. They do hate. They really, as for a company that is called, an evil corporation that, like is money grubbing and do everything they can to just squeeze every penny. They don't. They leave so much money on the table.
So much.
Like last night, I know Rob kind of mocked me for being on one last night because I did, I poured over the 2023 investor report to find a comment. I guess you won't put it on screen, but I'll read it, which is, we continue to plan ahead and are ready to build an additional manufacturing facility when it is required. We currently have spare capacity. Games Workshop PLC annual report 2023. Literally, probably when they were manufacturing these boxes, they were reporting that to their shareholders. I am a shareholder, and I know that if they aren't using their capacity, they're leaving money on the table, and not just in this game, in AoS and 40K. And Kill, and like when I posted that, some people responded, Kill Team essentially sells out immediately, never comes back in stock. Like all of their games, people want so bad, and this is something I've been harping on so much in previous episodes about why I love the old world, is that it makes me want to get stuff. And they don't need to do predatory things like, put things that you really need in a box with a bunch of other stuff you don't want. They don't have to do just lame salesy things anymore because people desperately want this stuff. They just don't supply enough. And so to me, this is a multi-million-pound cash giveaway to anyone who can help meet that demand. And to, people reselling models, all that stuff. And it's definitely, I think it's essentially they're making enough to hit their dividend goals, and they're just leaving the rest on the table, and it's absurd.
Yeah, absolutely. So the response, because I kind of poured over the response yesterday, was people being, I think, joyous that they got the thing that they want, then furious that people, weren't able to buy stuff, and all those, kind of different community feelings clashing. Because it should have just been high fives all round, right? Everyone just high fiving each other. I picked up my stuff. Did you get your stuff? My stuff. And then we come in with, so I want to admit to being a hater in a certain way. Made me laugh a lot. Yesterday, I tweeted out about the fact that, because live on air, I found out that the Yeoman Command group sold out. and I was
Yes.
and they were £36 for 3 old models. And also I got so many feelings about this. I could do an entire hour on this on myself, and I gave myself a headache from laughing. It hurt so much. We were streaming, and because like the yeoman, if you watch back one of our other videos, I was like, no, you can't buy. Like me and Val laughed about the battle pilgrims, but I was like, look, I'm not going to yuck your yum. But we both agreed you can't buy the yeoman, right?
You got to pass. That was a pass.
That was a pass. Like, and I was screaming, like that's all I could say. I was screaming, and they were sold out at 36. And I was like, also I found out they were £36, £12 per model, and I was like screaming. So I tweeted about it, and that unfortunately got a lot of traction, and then it got a lot of hatred thrown my way. A lot of hatred thrown my way. With my favorite being people being like, this AoS guy, and I was like, bro, I love AoS. I think AoS is great, but you might want to check out my entire YouTube channel. Right?
Yeah, I'm showing up too.
Yeah, showing up too. And also, like, if I could get some validation just for the audience, because they don't know. Many of you don't know this story, but a while ago, when Val was getting into Warhammer Fantasy Battle, he was like, hey, Robbo, can I have all your old fantasy stuff? I was like, sure, man, we'll sort that out. How much was I into fantasy?
You were quite into fantasy. And then... yes, it was a lot of boxes, and then I think also it really looked like all of your ex-girlfriend's stuff that had been in your house for a long time, and then you just shoved it in a box and sent it to me. They were broken heart boxes. Like, you were not just into fantasy, you were devastated by fantasy, and so yeah, I got a tremendous amount of things, and that was actually one of my favorite. It was like an afternoon of like pulling like all of this stuff out of these boxes, and it was some amazing stuff. So yes, 100%. Your bona fides are bona fide. My boners have been had by Rob in the past about Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
I think I owned every special character on the internet, like that existed, like at the time. Like I had all of the, so it's like I was super into it. So having people being in like, this AoS idiot who knows nothing, and I'm like, whoa, like we need to relax. But my point is I feel a little bit bad about laughing so much, because some people are like, I really wanted to pick up these Mounted Yeomen, but when I was originally into Warhammer Fantasy Battle, I would have not picked up the Mounted Yeomen. They look silly, right? Like that's what I originally would never have picked them up. So, and I remember clear as day back in the day, I was like, I'm not picking those. I'm going to go to Forge World and get the Marenberg Empire sword and shield guys. They're so much better, right? So that's where I was at. Anyway, so then it kicked off this whole conversation, which I think is interesting. And I do want to say one thing. Everyone kept tweeting me and saying, Rob, you got to recognize these are Perry twin minis. These are Perry twin minis. And actually, I'm a little bit heartbroken by that. Yeah. The reason is I don't get to know who's done any of the cool sculpts in the past 15 to 20 years. Like people kept being like, you don't understand the impact of the Perry twins. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah, like I recognize that. I understand your feelings. I think those models look like hot shit. Yeah, they look awful. But let me pick you a ton of models that I love. Right, and I would love to know who sculpted them, so I could put the reverence on their name that you're putting on the Perry twins' name. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was just a little bit like heartbroken that like people were trying to like, hey, I know who the Perry twins are. I think I interviewed one. I
can't imagine that you could be in Nottingham and not have like found yourself in their basement being like, oh, whoa, what the, and like just surrounded by historical minis and stuff. Yes, and that is such. Like the fact that like even like the author of this game, JT Watt, is sort of shrouded in mystery, referred to as Jonathan in the roundtables.
Let's go, Jonathan.
Who he is not really revealed by all those roundtables. Which, by the way, aside from one little paragraph, I thought were really awesome and insightful, and we never talked about them because too much stuff happened. But yeah, like I mean, if you go back in the Wayback Machine, you go to Forge World, like say in like early thousands. Not only do they name the sculptor, because I don't know that they necessarily did this in the Citadel. They definitely didn't do this all the time in the Citadel catalogs. But Forge World would name the sculptor, give you a bio about them, like what other stuff they've done. They might even give you a little blurb about why they sculpted this particular model the way they did. So Forge World now SDS, I think even you kind of even see that a little bit in the constraints of what the overall like company policy may be. sort of chafe against that by having that roundtable, by allowing them, the designers, to be candid about how they develop this game. I don't know that we've seen a lot of that at that level, which was great.
No, so that was my only kind of like. But anyway, everyone else was having a very normal one because the internet lost its shit yesterday. So this is a hangover show, like an after party special. I'm excited by it.
Yes.
Looking forward. I especially want to hear your thoughts about those things and all that other stuff. Like you can recognize. I think we can all recognize. And if you're a fan and you feel sad and heartbroken by what you've seen, or not being able to get the stuff, I recognize that. But and there's loads more to cover. I really do think that stock levels is such bullshit from GW. Like that is just a classic. But I think when we move on to the next subject, which will be the legacy article.
The legacy article, that little old thing. I want to also double back to the reaction to this. I hope you guys realize is it doesn't have to be overwhelmingly negative. We saw a lot of this coming.
Yeah.
And I think we maybe take for granted our experience in, how this company operates, also remember guys too, how the community operates and how it reacts to things online. As this game evolves and becomes sort of an established thing and new stuff drops, you're always going to have people who just shit all over something you're excited about and bring you down. And the only advice I could possibly give you is, if you find yourself getting bummed out by that, because I no longer really do. I get engaged by, here's what I think is actually happening, by the way, guys. And also, here are the awesome things that we can do about it. And that's kind of where I like to come from. And sometimes that's not the guy you want to hear when you're emotional about something. I know when I'm upset, I don't necessarily want someone to come to me with a solution or whatever. But surround yourself. There's lots of ways to find community. For example, our Patreon Discord that is gonna be a little less reactionary, or offer constructive ways to sort of navigate through what's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It's just the way fandom works. I think a lot of times the way these subcultures work, and we get, especially when they come to these really frothy hype points and moments, if something doesn't meet or exceed your expectations, there's always going to be a little bit of level setting that happens after that. So, sometimes you just got to take an internet timeout and just hang in there, because I think fundamentally this is all really good. At the end of the day, they made what they thought they needed to make, and they probably underestimated what the demand was going to be, because they don't have the ability to do that. And they missed it, but they blew out whatever their demand expectation was. So what that means to me is that, you can be confident in this game, even though you didn't really have to worry, as Rob and I have said many times. You can be real confident in this game, and this game is awesome. And there's going to be lots of fun stuff to talk about that's not all this noise.
So much. I agree. Yeah. Also, actually, thank you for reminding me. My problem is maybe that I'm so deep inside the well now that I really cannot see inside, because I do this for a living. And Age of Sigmar, as you all know, love or hate it, and I do love it, so I just want to be clear about that again.
Oh yeah.
Age of Sigmar went through this tumultuous launch at the beginning. Yeah, I was a Warhammer Fantasy person who went into being an Age of Sigmar person, kicking and screaming, mardy as hell about this process. And then subsequently, new launches of those editions, squatting of armies across that edition. Age of Sigmar's had a tumultuous history. Then, obviously, a heresy guy. I was also a heresy guy, and then 40k and all of the 40k launches. So I've been through this cycle and process. So I guess I really need to take on board the fact that for some people this is their first experience. For me, this is old hat.
First time.
First time.
Yeah. First time, meme. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I do have some advice from that experience, it's exactly what Val said. A, find yourself the constructive people inside the hobby who are doing what you want to do. Yeah, that's A. B, the community is so much better and stronger than Games Workshop. And I don't mean this is let's go protest. Obviously, that's silly. Although, obviously, I have done that previously. It's very fun.
If you work there, it's probably not a bad idea. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, the thing I want to talk about is that there are so many things that Warhammer does not exist without the community. It doesn't exist without Battlescribe, Best Coast Pairings, any like pairings apps, scoring apps, Warhapedia, a ton of different like things which are non-Games Workshop produced for helping and produce and resourcing the community. Not like just so many bits. So like, that's the
doesn't
thing.
exist without people playing it and being upset about it on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff could just literally be dumped right into the ocean. Like without people who like bring it to life. They give us unassembled gray plastic. I was on a long drive yesterday, and I was describing how absurd this hobby is. Like how this like they hand you, if you had a PowerPoint presentation and you were in Silicon Valley and you were pitching your hot new company idea, and you were like, I'm gonna give them a box and it's filled with miniatures, and they're like, cool, are they like awesome? No, they're unassembled and they're unpainted. They got to do that themselves. And then they're like, okay, cool. So then you get to play a game. Like, no, you got to build a table, like a dinner table. No, much bigger than that. So like, it's
so much bigger.
It's like step after step of stuff that like we have to like in a lot of ways that is the secret sauce. The secret sauce is that they don't give us everything, right? And we shouldn't want them to give us everything. And
yes.
the times where and the times actually where it's tipped too far in either direction, where they don't give us enough, which is right now, or they're giving us too much, which is maybe the legacy rules, and what they said about it. That's where it gets out of whack, because it does belong to both sides, because this is ultimately an artistic endeavor, right? It is a creative endeavor. It is someone's expression of creativity at the company, which they sell for a profit, and then once we receive it, it is our own individual expressions of creativity, whether that is how you build and paint your army thematically and lore wise, or how you construct your army list gaming wise. It is a game of expression, and I think that is what makes this community so at times volatile, but also much more often incredible, is that this is just such a way to give voice to yourself and to people through something that you're doing, that you're making. And I've never put words to that before, but I hope that made some sense. Just that like people get really invested because each thing that you do in this podcasting, building and painting, reading books, sharing ideas, arguing on the internet is just such an expression of self. And of course, couched in someone else's IP, but it's very cool, and engaging with that once all of this dies down is really why we're here.
Yeah, I also, it's very much like a bunch of artists, like JTY, obviously you can see the love. When we get around to talking about the rules later, you can see the love and enthusiasm put into these rules. And when we talk about unit fillers in a bit, yeah, you can see how much we're getting some mold-breaking stuff thrown our way, which is amazing. So yes. I've often said that it's it's a love letter from a bunch of creatives to a bunch of fans, and then the prison guards, which is Games Workshop corporate, management have just put some chains around it. I'd also like just finish off. Again, anyone feeling bad about this process, you please do look at Blood Bowl. Please look at Blood Bowl more than anything. You can look at Age of Sigmar as well. Again, if you don't know the backstory, very quickly, Age of Sigmar launched with 0 points. The community built points and its own game system around it.
That's right.
And then Games Workshop saw that was so successful that they co-opted it and started selling it as their own books. But I need you to know that whether you love or hate Age of Sigmar is and will always be a community project. Like, that's what it is. That's one of the reasons I love it so much. And I think the community is so good. And I think we're going to see exactly the same. And one of the reasons I'm very excited, exactly the same thing from Old World. TOs are going to get together immediately already. Everyone must decide, are we playing 2,000 points or 1,999 points? Yeah? Like, we've got to decide, right? There's so many things to decide, so many fun things to talk about. Right, and sometimes maybe either format, and
that dialectic, because the answer is not given to us, the dialectic of that will be messy, because people are going to disagree about what the right way to do it is and the most fun way to do it is. Whether that's, and this is usually going to come up, most dramatically at the sort of event level, but also at the local level, like in your friend groups, like figuring out how you want to start and approach this, the types of armies you want to build, like all of these like little community cultures are going to start to get established right now, which is really fun. You came up in AoS significantly. I mean, obviously you had a history of playing fantasy, but AoS is really what I think fired you up and got you going. Parallel to AoS, I'm getting into 40K.
Fantasy is what got me going. Like
I know, but like, I were you a community builder before AoS?
Oh no, that's right. I didn't have like a podcast or anything like that. Like I wasn't
No. Yeah, like and there's I think there's just a lot more established. But like when I got into 40K, almost the exact same timeline as AoS leaving, I'm starting playing Warhammer 40,000. It's an unsupported game. There's no FAQs or RATA. The rules are literally broken. They don't work. You can't play the game without at least agreeing on with your opponent how certain things had to work. And out of that came, the foundations of what like the very, very dominant 40K tournament scene has become. And, these ideas of, like frequent errata, updates, balancing, stats driving analysis of the game. These all came from the community and were developed by people who just really loved playing a game that, by all intents and purposes, did not deserve it. Like 40K and 7th edition did not deserve to be played.
No, it was a bad game.
And the thing that I would stand there and be like, this is nuts. Why are we doing this? Like I ask that all the time, and I think again it's because because we wanted to, man, and we could, and we worked together and against each other a lot of times to find ways to make something that was quite absurd and impossible happen, and that resulted in very large events, very big tournaments, and also just a lot of people, a lot of friends. Like I made so many friends during maybe the worst period in Warhammer 40K history is when I actually formed a lot of my like friendships and bonds. So that's what can come out of like moments of instability or where the community needs to step in. It's actually, I think, the best way to do this is where we get to now take these pieces and build something cool out of it, not just the models, but everything else.
Well, I think great points, really well made. I'd also like to shout out right now, another point is like Games Workshop is going to like under-deliver and over-deliver in some elements for the old world over the next few years. We'll be here for the whole process. But who do you want to hang out with, Val? I'm going to throw an invite out now. Tell me, we can invite one of two people or two groups of people to the Squarebase GT. Squarebase GT, free tickets. At the TSN Arena, open invitation, free ticket, free drinks, free dinner on us, free goodie battle prizes. But Val, you can only invite one of two people. You can invite the creatives at the Old World, so JTY, the sculptors, or you can invite their managers. Who do you want to invite?
Well, they're managers. They're managers. You know why? Because JTY gets it.
Yeah.
That's why the managers are the one who need to be out there.
Oh no! Don't make the right decision. Fuck them. I don't want to hang out with the teacher. I want to hang out. No, the teacher's never gonna learn. Fuck them.
Well, you know what though? What other like honestly, like, and again, I think this is one of the opportunities for people who are still haters, who still doubt, who whatever.
Such a sensible decision, but it's so boring.
Engaging. Like sometimes it's an unwinnable argument. Sometimes it's an unwinnable fight, and people are beyond, reproach or redemption. For the most part, though, I am a tremendous believer in never attribute to malice that which can be explained by, I think, incompetence. And that is ultimately, I think, what goes on here. I do believe that the managers make what they think culturally and in their experience are correct, wise, conservative decisions. Like not naming artists because we might have to pay them. Which is what they do. Like underproducing because we don't want to accidentally have too much stock and then do what everyone else does and just run it over with a fucking truck. But like there are all these things that they need to see, and I think this is what the thawing of Games Workshop resulted from is they had no choice but to come out of their castle and come see people and engage with where people were playing. And so the more we have those types of folks out of Warhammer world and into where people play, the more closer, hopefully, they get to getting what they actually have. Because I think like anything that we get to have in our lives that is close to us, Like for us, we're all over this shit. We took for granted that, like up until a week ago, we were still frequently getting comments on YouTube videos. They're like, "What the? Those are the old Tomb King skeletons. This is bullshit." You know. And then last week, what do you mean it's not supported about the legacy armies? We've known about all this stuff since the spring, but we take that for granted. We have that knowledge, and just the same as people who are inside of an institution often don't look outside of it. When you become a content producer, you tend to stop writing. You tend to stop consuming as much stuff outside of what you're actually focused on. So yeah, get them out of their hole, and then I don't know.
Want them. I don't want them.
Buy JTY a coffee.
I don't want them. I want the actual creatives here, and I would like to reward them with presents and gifts and handies behind the bike sheds. That's what I'd like to do. Like,
that too.
I don't want the nerds. I want the party animals. So that's my invite. Val, you can talk to the managers. I'll talk to the creatives. Let's go.
Well, let's transit. This is an excellent moment because I think we're about to talk about what I think is a blatant management decision. Mm-hmm. I think this is a blatant management decision.
Let's go.
So let's go. And this is speculation, guys. I don't actually know this. I might be completely wrong, and like that's genuine. I could.
No way,
very well
JTY is making this decision. No way.
But he might agree with it. That's possible too, right? Like they I mean, organizations sometimes do make decisions as groups. But let's maybe do we have the original verbatim text about legacy armies?
I can get it for you.
All right. So a lot of people are reacting very, very strongly. So we've known since the spring about the fact that, there are 7 factions in the game: Chaos Dwarfs, Lizard Men, Vampire Counts, Dark Elves, Ogres, Skaven, and another one that, help me out, chat, that are going to be PDF only. They're being referred to as Legacy, mercifully not Legended. But they're
not how we refer to them.
We refer to them as Renegades, and it's funny, Rob. Like that narrative works super well now because you are a renegade apparently if you're wanting to play these factions. These factions are described as non-core. They're legacy factions, and these are some of the most specific IP elements of the old world. That they have some of the most uniquely created elements, such as the Lizardmen, the Skaven. And these are games that were identified. These are factions identified as not necessarily being part of the game going forward. Shall we read the verbatim?
Yeah, I'll read it for you. No probs. So what about legacy factions? Rob, not me, Rob. You could say other Rob. So a few of the factions from previous Warhammer Fantasy Flight games will not feature in Warhammer the Old World. This is in terms of game rules, model ranges, and the ongoing background narrative. These, in quotation, legacy factions will, however, get free downloadable army lists so people can try out the new system using their older model collection. More about this in coming weeks, though please note they won't be considered legal for tournaments and won't receive ongoing support. That's what's going on.
That's what they call a kiss of death. That is an attempt to prevent anyone who was very excited about any of these factions, roughly 40% of the factions, and potentially a majority of the player base. You have in this, I mean, just between Skaven and Vampire Counts, certainly if you're looking at the total war crowd, a very big chunk of interested people. That you just said don't actually. There's another line. Can you scroll down a little bit?
Sure. If you want to come on this long-term journey with us, the factions in the Force of Fantasy and Ravening Hordes books are the ones to collect and play, and we want to be pretty clear about that.
We want to be don't you dare. We want to be pretty clear. We're going to put this shit out there. Don't you dare use them. So why, Rob?
Why what?
Why do this?
They do this is because we've talked about this a lot on the show previously. Now, we've obviously seen the rules for the core armies, and we've also seen what an arcane journal is. And an arcane journal, as I understand, is what they mean by support. I'm putting all this into context. Okay, so the Arcane Journal, now based on what I've seen, like, the screenshots from the people who read books, is that they're not the difference between an AoS Battletome, like an AoS Index and AoS Battletome, or a 40k Index, 40k. They're just literally a couple of extra characters, a couple of units, a couple of different ways to play the army, but in no way do they invalidate the core. So if the PDF armies, the Renegade armies, are the same as our grand army lists from Forces of Fantasy and Ravening Hordes, then they are just as like well put together. The reason I say this is because it looks like the same amount of work will probably have been put into the legacy faction army rosters. I think that there'll be a 1-for-1. You'll be able to like look at a Chaos Dwarf army, a Vampire Counts army, and they'll have their own spell laws and magic items and army abilities and everything like that. Yep. I think all of that is true. And so, on an amount of time spent on a core faction versus a Renegade faction will be equal 1-for-1. So if they've put that time in, and they're not even going to sell the minis, like what the hell is going on? And we've talked about this loads on the show, and I think it's simply because there is a huge bust up inside Games Workshop, and that's what I've heard from internal at Games Workshop as well, in that Specialist Design Studio, those are the people who make the Old World, and Citadel, which is the people who make obviously 40k and AoS, have drawn battle lines. And the reason you have to remember is because they have different P&L sheets. I know you're going to say to yourself, Rob, that's ridiculous. You obviously could, if they had Lizardmen as a core army, that means people would go out and buy the new Lizardmen sculpts and put them on bases and play with them. It would be the same pot and the same money. I agree with you, but they're just hate each other, and it's different P&L sheets. So like,
and what is it? So a P&L sheet is
profit and loss. So effectively, when you buy Tomb Kings, none of that money is going into the Age of Sigmar profit and loss sheet. Right? That's not what's happening.
It doesn't go in their attaboy bit. It doesn't go in their attaboy column. They don't get a 50% coupon at Bugman's.
Yeah, they don't get their once a year pat on the ass. So these are armies that are either going to get continued support in Age of Sigmar or very recent and upcoming support in Age of Sigmar. I assume, and I have heard, and it's been pretty much confirmed rumor wise, that we're going to get Chaos Dwarfs in Age of Sigmar. Ogres haven't had an update in Age of Sigmar since it was released.
They got Yetis though. They got
Yetis recently, so that does mean that probably they're working on sculpts for ogres if they're not already done. Lizardmen just got them. Dark Elves, we're almost certain we can see confirmation of a Dark Elf army in the future from Age of Sigmar. Skaven is the Age of Sigmar 4 launch box. Vampire Counts just got miniatures. And then Demons is kind of a weird one, to be honest.
They're a bit of both. Yeah.
They're a bit of both. So I think what we're seeing here is literally just some people being like, you can't have our money. That's what we're seeing. You can't have our money.
So to make this explicitly clear, I want to make this explicitly clear, and this actually goes both ways. But if you buy an AoS kit, it is considered cannibalizing internally from Old World. So if you buy a Lizardman kit if you buy a Seraphon kit and you play it as Lizardman, that means that in their view, you are stealing from their P&L and giving it to the AoS P&L. Yeah. And so they don't want people to be incentivized to buy this product for a different game, and vice versa. I mean, we saw this with Horus Heresy in the lead up to 10th edition 40K. Forge World models were completely supported. SDS models were very well supported in 40K. Coming into Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, they said, actually, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. Despite the fact that up until that point, they had been broadly integrated. But essentially, this is literally just a management decision. You know how I know that? Because JTY wrote 7 armies of rules and units. You think someone who works for $15 an hour is going to write, or who doesn't care about these armies, who doesn't think they should be in the game, is going to invest the time and effort it takes to make 7 different army lists? No. And the fact that they're being released says something too, that there was probably a battle. This is probably a compromise decision, because if they really didn't want this to be tempting, they just wouldn't have released these rules. And I think that sounds like someone had some testicular fortitude, or otherwise ovarian fortitude potentially too, to say, no, these guys are a key part of this setting and this world, and these rules should exist. And the way that this has been bolted on top is that, okay, we'll let these rules go out into the world, but we're going to give them the kiss of death. We're going to convince everyone that they're inferior and that they're not going to be supported and that they shouldn't be used. The tremendous irony is that these armies are more, if you care about models, if you care about releases, these armies are more supported than any old world faction that exists.
Yeah, can I jump in here? This is my favorite thing. It's like, oh no, Lizardmen Nightbot be valid. I'm like, buy a wood elf. Just try right now to buy a fucking wood elf. You can't even sniff a wood elf on the web store, right? It's not possible. So a core faction being wood elves and not even having access anywhere, and then
right. If you want to play Old World today, which you can, the rules aren't really out yet, or literally, well, they're kind of out. Literally, the only armies you can play. There are 9 factions that you can play. 2 of them are Bretonnians and Tomb Kings, and 7 of them are on this list. You could go into GW and you could buy these armies at retail, except for Chaos Dwarfs. Sorry, so 6 of them.
and Dark Elves, really.
There's a lot of Dark Elves, though.
There is a lot of the Dark Elf range is available. Yeah, you're right.
The witches still exist. Basically in the Daughters of Cain, you've got all the witch cults. And then obviously in Cities of Sigmar, you have pretty much all of the core still exists that you can buy and use. So essentially So remember when we said GW actually doesn't like to make money?
Did you see the Malekith thing? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you see Malekith is dead, R.I.P. Malekith has been renamed to Malarian in the Dark Elf lore as well. So he's Malarian in Age of Sigmar, but they've gone back and retconned it, obviously running from Disney. They don't want to mess around with the Dark Elf Malekith from Thor.
Interesting.
Yeah. So a Malarian. That was just a side note. Sorry, you're on a roll. I want to keep you going.
No, but I mean, this is really, really important. GW makes so much money that they feel like they don't need to make more, which, as I like to say I'm square bass and all that kind of stuff, but I moonlight as a capitalist. But that's insane. The fact that the fact that they have on their shelves right now, or if these are sold out, could be making more of them. Do you know how many Skaven armies would have been bought yesterday, or maybe did? If they had said these armies will also be available at release. It's absurd. So this is why when you read something like that, your attitude, and I need to and I was shouting, and this is one that I tried to shout out on the community forums as much as I could, and I posted a little meme thing that I came up with to correct the statement that was made, which is basically, they have said aren't legal in tournaments because we as gamers tend to fetishize official. Whatever is official. We could have all been playing Warhammer Armies Project. We didn't. Why? It's not an official thing. A lot of people who played it loved it, and it would have been cool if it got more people. A lot of Warhammer Armies Project is part of Old World, by the way, that was absorbed. But officialdom is really important. So they know if they say that, yes, this stuff is out there, but it's not official, they know that people won't engage with these armies. And those people are going to become, and I've seen it everywhere. So many people who are like, oh man, I'm mid-assembling my really sick Vampire Counts army, and now I don't want to anymore. And that's absurd. You've already given them your money, and your army is a part. Your army is a part of this game, right?
I'd like to say that even if you didn't buy a single model, a single one, if you bought models from another company or 3D printed them,
sure,
and you just downloaded the rules from anywhere in the world, or your friend gave in them, and you turned up to an event and played a game, you are as valid as someone who bought every single rule and every single mini and every single element. It just has to be said. You need to just internalize that. And anyone out there who's been like, Rob, I don't agree with you. I do not want you to be a part of my community or a part of things that I'm involved with. I just need you to know that. You need to internalize that you need to give 0 to an artistic endeavor, to be involved in artistic endeavor, as Val said, right? Your involvement is, listen, there's a gaming group with 6 people, right? Three people, yeah? And a 4th person comes along and is like, I'll join your little party and hang out every week, yeah? But I didn't give any money to the company. You will be welcomed with open arms, because your involvement will always improve our space and not diminish it, okay? So just
And by the way, that person who comes to the table right now and wants to participate but doesn't have an army are all of the core factions. You can't buy them. You can't buy them. People are going to be like, I am literally going to just put my like leftovers of Rob's collection online and put them on eBay. I'm not going to set them at a price. I'll put them up as auctions at a reasonable starting bid. And we're going to see what happens. What happens now is that a lot of people are going to overspend for those models, and that's their personal choice. I'm going to let them make a personal choice, and I'm going to get rid of a lot of plastic that I'm probably never going to enjoy. But I think like what we really need to emphasize here is this. These factions were created by the game designer to be a part of the game. Rob was actually kind of Rob was half alluding to it, but was if you rewind the tape and go back to this time last year. Sorry, not this time last year, like very early last year, it was when we found out about this core non-core divide. It was well established from sources at cafes that these were designed and play tested, created together. These are in fact core factions that aren't part of the initial wave of release because a lot of these model lines are currently not replaced for AoS and are tied up in AoS. And also releasing 9 complete factions is insane, and a lot even if Games Workshop was fired up printing 24/7, there's hundreds of model kits and units and pieces and things that they have to put out. The scope of the Old World project is actually quite staggering when you stop and think about how many individual pieces and items that they actually have to organize, project manage, get out the door. So right away, them saying that these aren't in the Old World is not an unreasonable thing. They could have also said, these aren't in the Old World right now. But they didn't say that because they don't want you to give money to a different internal competitor, which is crazy. GTY doesn't care. Of the same company. So JTY just loves this. The people who have created all of these factions and rules for this, who were again in those roundtable discussions.
You don't want to invite him to the party, I can't.
JTY knows he's loved. Like these. And by the way, we give respect to, or like we give a lot of credit to JTY. We think that he was the primary developer of these games rules. I'm sure there are other people involved, and like you can see in the roundtable that this is not a half-assed project. This is something that, unlike the vast, as far as a creative endeavor is concerned, the vast majority of Games Workshop output is content, especially from the written side of things. It's content. It's just like what we do. This podcast is going to be listened to and watched a couple thousand times, and then it's on to the next one. It just sits there for a long time, and maybe is never touched again. Output from Games Workshop from the main studio, producing 40K AoS rules. That's a 3-year cycle. It's disposable. It's going to be shoveled into the content furnace, and they're going to shovel something else into it later on. This is a project that has been developed since 2019, and before that, they say in the roundtable, it is a small group of people who've literally had to spelunk around, the various storage closets and lockers of Games Workshop. They've dug up and found so many of the different artifacts of previous designers, and sort of the legacy of this game, which is a foundational game for this company, and they have put passion into creating and building this game so it can be represented on the tabletop. And management, quite literally management, is why they say that you can't play this. It's not the people who actually love this game, who have actually created this game, who have actually invested, their heart into making something really good. So you are doing the creators of these 7 factions a disservice if you are now online saying you can't use that. And by the way, I've barely ever seen that. What I do see are people assuming that everyone else is going to say, no, these armies aren't allowed to be played. And I just want to say, as a community, one thing I'm very, very happy to see, every single TO I've talked to, every single player who is actually playing games, every single person has said that is nonsense. These guys are in the game. So if you love these factions, if you're a Vampire Counts player, lizardmen, dark elves, skavens, ogres, demons of chaos, chaos dwarves. No matter where you get your models, you can play with them and you can join in, and we will have a bigger, awesomer community for it. So that's what we're saying.
I made a joke show the other day. Well, I did predictions for Age of Sigmar, and we were making all these jokes, right? And we were talking about, armies we'd like to see in the future. One of the ones we talked about was goblins. And very early into the Age of Sigmar narrative, against KO, there was described as a pirate goblin airships, right? And since then, obviously, pirate goblins has been like literally the frothy dream of the Age of Sigmar community. The frothy dream, right? Of course, right? Next to goblin ninjas. You just literally take a faction. I don't know, Chaos Dwarf, ninjas. Like, it's easy to do, right? And it makes everything great. Chaos Dwarf, pirates, very easy, right?
Welcome to, that's why everyone loves Dogs of War.
Right. But and then if that's not good enough, you add cowboy or samurai. But my point is that, like, if you were to turn up with a wood elf army, right? And even though eventually the Wood Elf army is available from Games Workshop, but your Wood Elf army was a bunch of 3D prints because they're Wood Elf ninjas or Wood Elf pirates. Like, bro, I'm in. Like, I want you to add that to my life experience. I want to play against these things and I want to enjoy myself. And so, like, the game would be much diminished if these things were things that people didn't want to play. And also, as a TO, obviously all of those things are legal for me forever. And we've already seen that the support, in quotation marks, that is going to be developed for these the core armies is not a vast difference from what we've seen with these already. And guess what?
It's inferior. It's inferior.
Yeah,
but that is the thing that upsets me so much, is that, like, you get an extra book and none of the cool new shit. So anyway, like, it's upsetting. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say that, we're going to get to a stage in the future, very much like Blood Bowl. Again, Blood Bowl is the perfect analogy, where there might be armies that exist, like Dogs of War is a good example. Is someone going to just take because Dogs of War, like, from the rules I've seen now, most of the rules are just a copy and paste from what their units did. They've added a bunch of rules, which are very exciting. I can't wait to talk about those later. And structure, and there's some other stuff that's really elegant and I think really nice. But you could probably take whatever the hell Dogs of War did back in the day, and you could probably add a couple of rules, copy and paste them, have a fan PDF. Could you turn up to my event and play with a Dog of War PDF army? Probably. Maybe I would just like cap you. I'd be like, do you know what? Like, -5 tournament points or something, because it's not real. I don't know. I don't care. But I'm cool with it. Like, come on. Like, can we have some fun, please?
We can have some fun. I even don't think we need to go that far, because, like,
we could. Is my point.
We could. Okay, so, and to underscore your point, Matthias Eliasson, the writer, the sole writer, much like JTY, of Warhammer Armies Project, the Warhammer Armies Project started as a fan army book for Dogs of War. That's where it started, literally. I really want to play Dogs of War. They never got. They had a White Dwarf article, and they never got any actual support in 8th edition. So he started writing rules for them. He finished them. He did Bretonnians, and then he kept going. And then when the game died, he said, "Okay, cool. I'm just going to write the 9th edition then." And other people, by the way, created 9th Age. Other people did step into those gaps. I think like going that far, like fan created content, I understand why that's a bridge too far. I think why I find this particularly absurd and upsetting to me is that this is official content. And that it is a craven business decision that's not even good for the business, that is making people feel like they shouldn't do it. People are reading between the lines on that these armies will never be in the game. And I think that is disingenuous, because they're essentially waiting for the old model lines to be freed up once all of these ranges are fully refreshed and available, say in 3 years' time. The older sculpts that should be in Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer the Old Worlds will be repurposed and put back into the game. Hundo P. The timeline is the Great War Against Chaos. You're telling me Demons of Chaos aren't involved? These armies are not squatted. Okay, we didn't survive an apocalypse to be Thanos snapped. Okay, like that is you don't come back from the dead to then lose half of everything. That is not what's going on here. And that is such a bone. You want to talk about mind boners? Like nothing kills a mind boner like being told that these armies aren't really what you should be doing. If you're a real fan, which is essentially the subject, if you're a real fan, you're not going to play with these legacy factions. This is just to see if you wanted to get a taste of the rules. You see, with your very old armies. No, you want those new. You want a new old army. You don't want those new armies.
You want mounted yeomen, a command group of 36 pounds. Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Can you scroll up again? I really want to highlight a particular sentence that just made me so mad. Like, let's go. All right, here. The sentence would be, these legacy factions will, however, get free downloadable army lists so that people can try out the new system using their old model collections. What the hell do you think we're playing this game with? Like, why are these model collections old and the Empire army I have on my shelf isn't an old model collection? Kiss my ass, man. The only opportunity you have to get a new model collection is by buying these factions. It is absurd. And also third parties, which, by the way, that is something we have got to do.
We're going to do that.
Because people need to know that there are really good options for building sick armies outside of GW and also inside of GW. The guide to collecting that I would put together for ogres would probably include a lot of GW models. Vampire cast would probably include a lot of GW models, but it would include a ton of third-party stuff too. So anyway, I'm fired up. Please realize that like the point of this is to like get into it. It's fun. It's awesome. This game is so good. We haven't even been able to talk about the game because it's literally the day before release. You told half of your audience not to play. What are you doing, man? It's so don't listen to them.
They're doing some. I don't listen to them at all. Is the simplest answer, which is kind of like I want to shout out. Like I do want to I want to get straight back onto the hype train because there's so much really fun and exciting stuff. But that is that was a bucket of ice water that the community needs to wade through. And listen, and actually, do you know what? In the fullness of time, a great thing, right? I want everyone to know. Everyone occasionally, every 6 months to a year, needs a slap in the face from Games Workshop. Every time, yeah? Because people are like, Games Workshop will finally give me my old world army. They need slap. These are bastards. Yeah. Focus, yeah? Focus on your fun. Ignore them. Focus on your fun. Like, you need that every time, right? Like, and so in the fullest time, people are like, do you know what? Actually, really good that happened because I ended up buying myself some minis from this place. I played this game at this event, met this guy. He's my best friend now. We're going to get frozen yogurts later today. That this my life has changed, dramatically. So I want to say. Eventually in the fullness of time, probably a positive, but right now, silly, of course, and then move us on, I think, from this, because I think, and again, just a clear statement, TOs around the world, obviously, make the right decision. These are all playable forever. In fact, it's not even a decision. That's just...
as far as like them, as far as this Rob guy, and again, maybe Rob loves tournaments, gonna bet he doesn't. Is concerned. Like that was the other thing that was annoying to me is that it is a co-opting of something that does not belong. I mean, their own events sure belong to them, and they could say, rightfully so, at GW events we don't want these to come. Okay, cool. You're gonna exclude people. That's your decision. But that's not the way this is going to roll for the vast majority of the community. And you don't have to be a TO, by the way. And I do appreciate the fact that community leaders immediately are like, that's dumb. No, absolutely not. Because a lot of them probably play those armies too. Immediately spoke out, but also in your gaming clubs, in your circle of friends, in whatever. I know a lot of people are immediately reacting to this like, oh, well, we're not supposed to play with these guys. They're not official. They are official. They are, if they weren't official, GW wouldn't publish them. I suspect that at some point, since they said everyone's getting rules, and today they got cold feet about it. Note underproducing for this game. They got cold feet about it, and were worried that they weren't going to sell the stuff that they were making, and they wish they hadn't said it, and they knew they couldn't put that genie back in the bottle, and this is what they can do. And I think, by the way, I have a kind of a fantasy that I'm just going to show up at a U.S. Open with a Skaven army and just start playing and see what happens. I don't know if anyone wants to. I don't know if anyone wants to come with me. We can there's lots of tables at U.S. Opens. They're a whole lot of fun. We can go to if they actually do run an Old World event, which would be interesting. I say we show up at official events and we just don't worry, they don't ask for army lists or anything because they're very serious about tournaments, guys. And so you can just show up, unpack your army, start playing, because your opponent outside of that context probably plays these armies all the time. Maybe they won't even say a thing. See how far you can get in a tournament with a renegade faction at an official GW event. Because the other thing too is if we say no.
Don't do that. I'm sorry.
If we say no, then I know we don't
support
need
TOs. Don't support TOs that are like, someone's asking me in the chat, what if a TO says you can't use something? Don't go.
Independent?
Don't give them a ticket. Don't give Games Workshop a ticket. Like, just don't. Give an independent a ticket. Just don't do that.
People are going to want to go. People are going to go to US Opens, man. I'm just saying.
Never a worse experience than playing at Warhammer World HQ or a Games Workshop exclusive event. That's a fact.
U.S. Opens are different, but that's because they're very far away from Nottingham. But a Games Workshop store, I can see this being a big problem for people whose regular table, the place where they play, is a Games Workshop store. I am empathetic. It's not just people who live who live near Warhammer World. There's a lot of folks who the gaming space they have access to, the community of players that they have access to, is in a Games Workshop store, and those folks. That's a horrible life.
What an amazing experience. It's like, all right, Jim, all right, how are you? I'm going to play the Old World. Oh, amazing. What are you going to do? I'm going to play Lizardmen. I know they're one of the PDF faction, but I'm excited.
It's okay. I bought it 6 months ago. I'm so pumped. I've got it ready.
Yeah, buys $800 of stuff off that shelf. Jim, and then 3 weeks later, he's a very fast hobbyist, turns up with his fully painted Lizardmen army, and Jim's like, Pete, mate, I'm sorry, but... actually not legal. I bought these from here, Jim. 3 weeks ago, Jim. I'm afraid no. Come on. Can we all stop this? This is silly. Also,
GW store managers, you know who you are. It's because you have to go pee, but you're not allowed to leave the store because you're the only one who works there. Just so you know, you've just been told to sell a new product. And a lot of people are going to be really wanting to buy stuff off of the shelves that are not supposed to be for Old World, but totally are. You can sell that to them and then just let them play in your store. You can just do that because no one watches you. So you can also be
no one watches you.
All they want to know is the brown envelope full, and they're telling you can't fill it with money because GW hates money. So give them money and they won't care. I think that's the point here, guys.
And steal.
It's an absurd. You can also steal if you want to, but that's not my encouragement. My encouragement here is
an entertainment show, so
it is an entertainment show. We don't encourage actual theft. I do encourage people to, this. Look, we're in a small stakes world here. This is a miniatures game. It's a fandom. This is not something that you need to take to the streets with. But at the same time, as a result, this is a really safe place to show acts of civil disobedience. And I can't imagine a more quiet and simple act of civil disobedience than showing up at a Games Workshop with a Skaven army. So anyway, I'll stop ranting. We don't have to listen to it. Just ignore it. It's like it didn't happen. Make your armies out of whatever models you want.
That's exactly why I have no interest in doing anything like that. I would much rather go to an independent tournament organizer who's passionate about the project like I am than deal with some pedant who has to do something for a job by telling me I can't play with an army somewhere. Or even, I don't want to go to a place to make someone squirm. I just don't care. I just would like to, I don't want to be yeah, I went somewhere today and I played my toy soldiers, made someone feel a little uncomfortable. I just want to, go and play my games.
You know how yes, you want to play your games, and there are lots of places you can play your games without friction. At the same time, man, again, last week we were talking about pricing. And again, I get to live my life from a position of pretty significant relative privilege. And that is something I feel a lot. And as passionate as I am about this, looking at all my awesome toys, there are thousands of people exactly like me who are as obsessed with this, as many mind boners as I have, who just can't participate because they don't have the stuff that I do, the resources that I do, the money that it takes to have the time and the stuff to do this. That sucks for those people. And now we have a group of people who have, on a separate case, for no reason, an arbitrary reason, have been told that, no, you're so excited, but you don't get to participate. Why? Those people are crushed. There are people who little Robs out there who love these armies and were so excited for Old World to come back. Day before release, they say you can't play. Go fuck yourself. So I do feel for those people, and those people should make Games Workshop feel uncomfortable, because it's absurd that Games Workshop would tell them not to participate. And this is also a classic example of, instead of making me want to buy these beautiful AoS models that have been redone, I own a Lizardmen army. Instead of making me excited to be like, oh shit, man, those new models are hot, I'm gonna go get those, or even just occur to me and feel like I could do that if I wanted to, they're trying to force me to buy the stuff that they want me to buy. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to make me do that, and that is bullshit. When they have such awesome shit, they don't have to do things like this. So yeah, like bullying this company, which tries to often bully its very passionate and emotional fan base. Bully it back sometimes. I think honestly, like, I know what you're saying. It's a waste of time. I get it. And I've been there. I've wasted my time railing against these guys before, but fuck it. It'd be hilarious.
Didn't that happen last time and you just started playing the Old World instead? Like,
yeah, they've actually already co-opted. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, so my point is on a personal level, and this is me to you as a friend, like, again, like, I agree with all of the sentiments. Like, I've been in that position multiple times, and I agree with your sentiment that, like, they should feel it, but they won't. And importantly, the people make the decisions don't care. Like, and I could wake up. I got two choices basically every day. I can wake up in the morning and I could be like, I'm really going to stick it to those guys who pissed me off and carry that with me.
True.
Yeah, right? Or I can say, my friend Val is fucking super hype about running 4 level 4 wizards in some army. Yeah, right?
Actually, that's one thing that is restricted.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Right?
That's not in Heffelkamp, TM.
Yeah. Like, let's ring him or my other friend, or let's do some hobby. Like, and because eventually one just becomes like, I think it just is the wrong feeling to have. And I've been through this journey myself, and I agree with all of the sentiments. But Blood Bowl is, to me, again, I'm going to just put my flag in the ground. The Blood Bowl World Championships last year had 2,000, I think it was like 2,100 coaches playing. There were, and this is important, ban lists, not done by Games Workshop, but done by the community. And in addition, 3D printed teams were allowed absolutely everywhere. Like,
sure.
It was huge. And Blood Bowl is the perfect community representation of being like, sure, it's nice you're releasing stuff now, yeah, but like, that's it. Like, and you take a lot of the venom away when you just, it's kind of like someone, like, imagine I'm running an event, someone walks in from Games Workshop and is like, you need to stop the event. All of these legacy armies can't play. And I'll be like, you need to leave, sir. There's something wrong with you mentally.
You have no power here.
just escort them out the venue. Like, so, and that's where I'm at. I think I would like to do constructive, positive things in the future. That's what I'm keen for.
You know, and Rob, you're right. But also, I think this is hilarious because they're stupid. And you're right, Rob. Maybe you are a bit more of an experienced guy on the internet than I am. You've been here longer. You put the time in. You've learned lessons.
I've been a salty bitch.
I've been a salty bitch, and you've worked for Games Workshop. I am just like accumulating time very far behind you on that path. But also, I just find the idea of people protesting Games Workshop by trying to play a game of their models in their store funny. And also, I will say that there is a group of people, a significant group of people, who are excited for this game, who don't see or have alternatives that are easy, right? So, like, the easiest alternative would be just show up and play your Skaven in the store, see what happens. Outside of that, I would say that this is a great opportunity to look out, like, seek out in your communities. Are there other stores available to play in? Are there other scenes that you could participate in? Check out Discords, check out Facebook, reach out to Reddit. I've been on all of them. All of them have slightly different, massive communities of people talking about and being At times toxic, but a lot of the time just excited about this game and actually like really fired up to do stuff here. So like if you feel like your only opportunity is legitimately genuinely a Games Workshop store, and the fact that an army that you have is like suddenly verboten, just fucking show up with your army. Like that's what I'm encouraging you to do. And if you have alternatives, seek them out, and they'll feel that in a way too.
Right. So there's some really exciting rule stuff. Also, hey, before we get onto the rule stuff, I want to shout out very quickly the bevy of early access content creators who have gained access to the rules.
Yes.
I especially would like to take a moment to shout out Man Who Reads Book.
Book.
Thank you so much. Even though I think most of your opinions are hot trash. Like absolutely, and I don't mean just on the game. I mean most decisions and also thoughts, but
just jaw dropping.
But the just jaw droppingly dumb. But being able to
I wonder if he's the type of guy who will not review the legacy PDFs.
It's not a book to read, right? Come on.
Yeah.
But like,
what, am I supposed to print it out? Yeah.
It's in this economy. So I'm very, very excited about the thank you from me and everyone in the community for just showing us each page so we could screen cap it and make them into PDFs. I want to say, especially for the rules, right now. So because of this yesterday, we've got access to all of the rules and all of the rules from all of the armies, with the exception of the Renegade factions, which is super exciting. So I've already started churning out videos. So videos definitely me and Val plan on making in the future is we're going to do kind of an overview for each army, and then me and Val. So I probably will do those because I've got a little bit more time, and then Val and me are going to do like chats about an army, which is I am so excited. Like doing an overview for an army is fine, but I always work better in conversations. I'm super excited about doing those with you, Bud. I think they're going to be very fun. And I think they're going to be just really, really cool. And I can't wait to talk about those because especially just approaching the game from different positions, what we want to run. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. So thank you to them. Also, I have, I'm after this show, I'll be editing our first Patreon exclusive video. And that is...
this is breaking news. What is it?
Well, you already know what it is. So, so the Universal Special Rules video. So it's so annoying. There are 75 Universal Special Rules, right? They are, and then every time you're like, oh, this unit has evasive. They've got fire and flee. They've got quick to shoot, and you're like, holy shit, that's a lot. So what I've done is yesterday I recorded, and it's super boring. I'm sorry about this. I've tried to make it fun, but it's not very fun. I've just read all 75 special rules out, and in some cases, annotated a little bit. 75 special rules, and then we've made the graphics for them, and then I'm going to edit that today. So that'll probably be a Patreon video today. So Sunday I'm recording, and what that'll do is you can just, while you're painting, you can just listen to me boringly read out the special rules to you, because you need to learn them.
Do you have them written? Do they come up on the screen as you read them?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful! This is great. This is great memorization fodder. Did you do ASMR it? Are you also like rubbing like a sponge or something while you're doing it?
Yeah, no, I don't. So sorry.
Do you have like some good soothing beats on in the background?
Oh, yes, I do have soothing beats.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but then, so I'm kind of like at the minute. That's mainly I made that for me, so I can also listen to that in the background when I'm doing tasks. Because I'm like a horde. Okay, right. Okay, that's different to a mob. Let me remember how, right? And okay, what are the stipulations on mobs? So I think that's hopefully going to be useful to people. And then if people do find it useful, I might do the same for like spell lore, because it's very different between a spell lore review and just reading the spell lore out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think those are things also something people might need to commit to memory. What unit types? Hey, you're using chariots. Chariots have actually got quite a few rules attached to them just because it's a chariot, which is not anywhere on a chariot sheet. So
yes.
So I'm going to be putting that up, but I want to thank Man Read Book. If it wasn't for Man Read Book, we would not be able to screenshot all these rules and start making actual good content. So
that's right.
Like,
that's right.
It's a positive step. He ponderously walks so we can run.
To the mailbox where he gets his free rules and then reads them to us.
I want to thank him
sweetly.
so much. So good. Okay, so that's kind of that. And then now, okay, value. What were you excited about? Like, a bunch of stuff happened yesterday. There were a couple of battle reports. There was an exclusive battle report mini wargame we got to do. A couple of men who reads books. Did you engage with any content, or were you just so furious about legacy armies that we weren't sure what to do?
Well, I was very upset about that, but I did obviously take to the internet and get no traction. But that's all right. No, actually, got lots of traction. It was great, and I really do appreciate like retweets and all that kind of stuff that people did to signal boost my position. I think Rob and I both have good positions. I love that I'm starting more and more to play the role of Rob Symes on the show. It's fantastic.
What do you mean?
You've literally protested Warhammer World in the
For
snow.
an FAQ. I just held a sign saying release the FAQ. It's very simple.
It's one of my favorite things of all time, which is why like this is just it's fun because anyway, we can leave it alone. It is fun. It's upsetting but also fun. Anyway, so I was driving back from Quebec. By the way, Warhammer the Old World in French still widely available in Canada. So I was driving on the road from Quebec. So obviously I had to really on the down low watch the battle report as I was driving. Don't want to get a ticket. That's a joke. I wasn't doing that. So I wasn't actually able to like engage with a tremendous amount of content. But I did get home and I was able to watch two things. One, the big timing that we received from Steve at Mini Wargaming during the original Square-based GT back at the end of November. Makes a lot more sense now. It feels as though maybe he was a little busy because they had an official collaboration, which is amazing because this is an organization that once upon a time also encouraged everyone to storm the ramparts, build barricades, and protest Games Workshop. They did an official collab with a narrative battle report. And while I watched a little bit of him and Luca playing, and I feel like, everyone's learning this stuff on the fly. The early battle reports, don't take them as gospel. I would put them at the same quality of information dissemination at this point as, like, say, watching or reading a Warhammer community article, because they essentially have the same amount of preparation, right? Like, these are guys who've got this stuff maybe a month and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, some of them, and they have to produce like a pretty hard thing to produce, which is content for a game with a whole lot of stuff that you got to prepare and be ready.
Can I take this for a second, if you don't mind? I just want to.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say, I'm a full-time content creator. Ask me if I think that I can build, paint, produce, organize, edit battle reports and understand the rules well enough to be able to competently put them on the internet and then not get stuff wrong. The answer is no. I could not do that.
Oh, thank God that's what you were about to say.
Yeah,
thank God. Okay. I was about to tee off.
No. All right, no, I cannot do that. And I don't think most people can do that. I think even learning the rule for any game system is complicated enough, let alone the incredibly rules-dense The Old World. I'd like to be very clear. I have a lot of respect for BatReppers, but having been being hired by Games Workshop to produce game content, like themselves, and spend, I think, a lot of time working through this subject. Like, I don't think that it's the most effective way to. It's a great way to get a feeling, an idea of how games work, and I think that's why many of the Battle Report channels do it in a very friendly and fun and upbeat way. Because I think that's an excellent piece of entertainment. But like learning rules well. It's not fun. Warhammer is hard. Learning rules well is not fun. Learning rules a bit is fine. Learning rules well is super boring.
It takes a lot of practice at correcting yourself and reinforcing when like figuring out that you did something wrong, going back and correcting it. And on top of this, like these content creators. And by the way, I was trying to be empathetic there, Rob. I wasn't dragging. The reason why WordCamp is inaccurate is because the reason why WordCamp is they get a brief and they have to write that brief up really quickly. And hit their deadline. These guys have other jobs, right?
I didn't think you were. I was giving context for my final statement, which was many of these rules on these early battle reports will be continuously wrong. multiple
Yeah.
times. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
like, you know, and that's just really tough for those creators to do that. I want to be really clear. So, like, I watched one
Don't shred them.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I watched them yesterday, and the first thing I saw was wrong. The first roll, and I was like, okay, this is tough for me to absorb this, and that's going to always be a challenge. And they have a very high bar, but they also do so much for communities. You know,
Yes.
they do realization. I can see what a Bretonnian army looks like on the tabletop.
Yes.
Love that energy for me. I can see what another army looks like on the tabletop. See them battling it out. There's so much. That's why I prefer live streaming because I actually have someone who's been like over obsessed about one army versus another person who's over obsessed
Yeah.
about another army, and then me just
Yeah.
being like, well, I think he's trying to do this, and everyone being like, you're wrong, Rob. Like, and then like,
Well, and on top of that, like people who are playing the game, and especially in an event, they're trying to play it correctly, and they're trying to make sure their opponent's playing it as correctly as possible because they're playing the game. A battle report producer is creating a show. Is
Yeah.
creating content for you to watch, and they are usually also editors, directors, camera people.
it's
there's
actually
very few-
insane how much they do.
It is so much work. Every time I fantasize about doing a battle report, I just think like, really, like it's really, 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 really hard. It's hard to, as I learned, it's hard to, like, let's not even discredit what Rob does, which is doing live coverage of events. I tried to do that so hard. Battle reports add a degree of skill and effort after the event that is, again, an order of magnitude that's really hard. And then to build an audience for what you're doing is really, really hard. So I think maybe what Rob's saying here is, as you start to learn things, don't flame them in the comments. By all means, point out, rules that are wrong so that other people can learn. That's important. But, lead with empathy. Imagine if your first game ever with playing the old world was recorded, you would make a fool of yourself undoubtedly if everyone was taking it super serious. So realize what they are, what they are, which is, and I think we have two content creators right now that have really embraced old world, which I think is really great to shout out, and that certainly is Mini Wargaming, Mountain Miniatures. They have been a massive supporter of fantasy content, Warhammer Fantasy Battles content, not just like 8th edition or a particular one, but like literally you could find a battle report played in just about any flavor of Warhammer that you like. I think they did they sort of did approaching the old world. They did battle reports in each different edition, which is nuts. So they're great, good Canadian boys just down the road from here, and we're incredible hosts. So I love being able to plug those guys, but I probably don't need to. And then of course, maybe if you're an AoS or if you're an AoS fan and a fantasy fan and you don't know them, Tabletop Tactics also came out with a battle report hot out of the gates. Lawrence Baker, who's sort of the head
Pretty
guy
fucking
over
hot.
there.
That's what he is.
Pretty
Fucking hot.
like official Warhammer Chad is again has made his business out of creating 40K content and doing escalating production value and all that kind of stuff. I've loved being able to interact and chat with him over the years as they've developed their studio. But was, as a lot of us are, originally a fantasy fan and is personally so excited to be able to try and make a go of old world content. And that's a risk, by the way, for a content creator like that, because if you put something out there, that's not a 40K bat rep, right? Which is the bread and butter.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about this. Me and the chat were kind of like reviewing who was popping off yesterday, like on creating content. And obviously, like we saw like Tactics do stuff, Mini Wargaming done it before. But like that was about it. Like everyone else, like I want to shout out all the content creators whose thumbnails were, "Is this game dead?" or "This game's already dead."
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, you fucking suck. Like just get out. Like I got sent a free box. I've made nothing about Warhammer the Old World ever before. I got sent a free box, and I'm going to tell people that this sucks. Just get out. Then follow. Like, just shut up. Just you don't have to say anything. Just shut up. I also want to shout out Steve as well from Mountain Miniatures because I'm so happy that Old World is back. So he just fucking never talks about Age of Sigmar again. That'd be perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, Steve, like, I'm so happy that your lane is back. Just get out. Like, oh, the double turn. Shut up, Steve. Right?
Yes,
like,
don't
but I'm
worry.
so happy for you that what you love is there. Okay. For me, you will always be in the actor from Rangers of the Bloodstone.
And yes, and
my favorite, not my favorite. That's not true. Durston's my favorite, but the there really wasn't that much, which is kind of interesting. There was like some little bits. Also, Scary did a battle report. Scary did a battle report against Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop. That tall beefcake. So that was fun. That is, it was pretty amazing. There was a shot of them together at one point, and I honestly thought that they had recast the film Twins.
Who does he play against?
It's Scary versus Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop.
Oh wow, that's great. Okay, cool, man. Yeah.
Okay. So that makes me laugh. So that was available. So yeah, kind of interesting day reading through some stuff. There was some great Goonhammer articles. Shout out to Liam and also the Falcon for putting some articles out.
The Falcon out there writing stuff.
So there's some more content knocking around if you want to go check that out. We probably should do like a content shout outs top of the show every time in the future because that's pretty fun.
Absolutely. Especially since like there's like we've been super lucky that like struck a chord and have been building up an audience. But there's a lot of folks out there who've been like grinding fantasy stuff for years. Who produce a lot of stuff. I plugged them a lot. Triple Crown Wargaming. They've obviously been out there like with Hype Viz just like us every week. There's a
I also would like to shout out the return of the Dwellers Below podcast.
Dwellers Below.
So shout out to the Dwellers Below, which is a YouTube show you can go check out, as well as a podcast series from some just insane human beings.
I am desperately. I always forget. Yes, there it is. There's also a person who supports this channel, who has a really great hobby channel. Miniature Realms. They've commented on every video of ours from like going back to the Honest Wargamer streams days, and they do really, really great basically how to paint guides and stuff for videos. And they are not hooked up, so they did a cool summary video of like what's actually going on with the old world. One of my favorite pieces of content actually that's come out so far. I would also like to point out that Valrek's thumbnail is just a picture of a shipping box, and what the hell, dude.
When he got a blue tick, I just blocked him on Twitter. I was like, I don't need this guy.
Oh, bad luck.
Yeah, bad
also,
luck.
you'll be very pleased to know that that Winter's SEO also doing some old world content. Got a box, so like
it's all over. It's all over. Like that's all we need. What, a flat cap and a legend? Like
flat cap and a cup of tea, a cup.
Well, as you can see, I rolled. Oh my God, Winter's SEO is like as I slowly slip into whatever mental problem is going to come for me in old age. It's Winter's SEO in the background for me. I'm going to pretend like he's my like long lost dad or something. I don't know.
Yes.
That's maybe that's what he is in my life to me. Like he's
the Bob Ross of Warhammer Battle Reports. So like I really do love that, especially the battle report channels when they do a different game, they're taking a risk because again, they could potentially tank their algorithm. Of course, they're also taking a positive risk in the sense that they're touching, potential viewers that they otherwise don't have access to, that wouldn't engage with their content. So, it's a double-edged sword. But again, think of how hard it is to put together a game for yourself with a friend on your table. Now add a lot of other stuff on top of that and play the game. It takes tremendous bat rep producers, and live event producers, anyone who's showing you a game, right? Even the person who's just holding a camera phone is putting a lot of effort into that. So I'm really happy to see day one. There's a lot of things.
I don't agree with that. I'm sorry.
I love Winners. I used to watch a lot of Winners, man.
I love Winners.
He literally records on a cell phone. I don't think he's ever done anything more than that.
But I consider that to be something that I'm willing to look past versus endorse.
Anyway, I'm glad we could end on such a high note.
Well, no. I would like. I don't know if you've got to go, and if you do, then we'll kill it.
I got a minute. No, there's no toddler knocking on my door yet. So let's
just hit me up with
going.
some rules maybe that you saw that you were hype about.
Oh man. Rules that I saw that my mind's blank. You go first. Go.
Mounts. Mounts. I'm excited for mounts. What else on forest dragons? Where the hell am I going to get a forest dragon? I don't. Well, I mean, I know what a forest dragon looked like before, but what's forest dragon look like in 2024? I'm excited. Chaos dragon.
Titan Forge has a really nice wood elf forest dragon.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Like Chaos Dragon, also apparently just everything on a dragon. I'm excited about gyrocopters. Oh, like just the return of what I consider to be the bicycle of the sky. I just can't wait for war games with bicycles in the sky. They're so good. I love that. I absolutely love the pushback mechanic from combat. I think that's super fun. I love how deep and crunchy and techy the rules are. I actually like some of the units have like just an absolute plethora of USRs. I like Wood Elves, so good. Like the thematicness of like evasiveness and then like stand and shoot. And then shoot and flee is so good. Like in the right situation, it's gonna be such a deep tactical decision. Am I going to like do this? Like, are they gonna catch me? Very, very fun. Combat rares, kind of interesting. Magic items, obsessed with.
Magic, it's gonna be so much fun seeing what people actually tech and combine and do all. Like now's like gonna be a real fun part where it's like it's in the world now, and we're gonna see like cool stuff, and we're gonna see wild shit. Like people are gonna have 50% of their army that is the Chaos Lord on a dragon. Like that, they're gonna be like, oh, I gotta cut something. Like they're just gonna, it's gonna be fun, some fun stuff. It does feel like you have the ability to play points dense armies like that, aren't huge model counts. Basically, Hero Hammer, which is a slur in some circles of the old fantasy community, but it also feels like the other half of that coin is true as well. In the sense that, a lot of those big low leadership Horde type units have rules that allow them to be a little more sticky on the table, not run away immediately with Horde and Warband. If you're a Warband of Gabos, you get to reroll your charge distances. I would say that from a like macro perspective, which is where I like to live, one of my favorite things, and this is something that doesn't exist in a lot of Games Workshop games, and maybe it's because they're SDS, but they have finally been able to abstract line of sight. That's right, folks. If you can see it, you maybe can't hit it. That includes if the line of sight is obstructed by any hill or a forest or another model. These all obstruct line of sight, which means that you're going to be able to play a game that involves screening. It involves moving around terrain effectively. It's not wildly contemplated. If you're on the hill, you can see everybody and everyone can see you. Pretty straightforward. I think that's amazing because we also have a situation where it feels like because charge distances are lower and armor values are down, i.e. Higher, you can't go lower than a 2+ armor save, for example. Feels like maybe a shooting meta is imminent, something that could really you could get into a situation where someone who's got good shooting could just light up and get rid of everyone across the table from them while they try and get across. Not if there's a forest in the middle, or at least it makes it a little bit harder. There's that's just, I think, such a big deal. And also in those rules for terrain, there's still rules for buildings that you can hop into. There's also controlled pieces of terrain that are not buildings, but maybe give you a benefit if you want to add them to your battle. I really love conceptually. Again, I haven't had this on the table personally yet. The way the terrain rules are going to impact the game, and it's a bit unfortunate that so far, like off the top of my head, every battle report I've seen is played on an 8th edition style board, nothing in the middle. But that's fine because most of them are just lining up and smashing. As we go, I think terrain is going to provide a lot of really good opportunities to not, just because of, again, we haven't mentioned it. Shout out to some other content. Rob's conversation about how to win. The main mission condition, of course, being kill points right now. A lot of this game is going to revolve around resiliency, not dying. If there isn't a way to hide on the table, then the only option you have then is to stack units that are very resilient. You can't kill them very easily at a distance. And so that would really skew the meta in another direction. Whereas right now, if you do have terrain on the table, you can hide, which is fantastic. That who knows what that leads to, but it means that one potential extreme is not going to be there.
I tell you what though, that's actually just literally put the 2 and 2 together there. Like that's actually going to be one of those problems actually with the Renegade factions. If people try not to include the Renegade factions, you actually like get the game isn't rock paper scissors, but there's like if you get enough armies inside the pool, then what happens is there's enough permutations in the way the enemy might play that you can't skew too aggressively. So actually the limited army factions, limiting how many army factions there are actually causes more of a problem, like kind of game wise, if you know what I mean. It's same as like in your local meta, like you have a slow infantry army and so does your friend, but your third friend has the gun line, you know, your third friend's like the god, and then finally the fourth friend turns up with a cavalry army. Not saying that these necessarily work out this way, but roughly, you know, like, and so like I think on launch we've ended up in a pretty good place because you've ended up with Tomb Kings and you've ended up with a fast cavalry army anyway for shutting down. We already know dwarfs are on the way as an example and stuff like that. So I'm fairly hopeful there. But yeah, like there's some. I'm very hopeful about the meta game. And the kill points thing is just for me fascinating because it just adds so much context. I was reading War Dancers yesterday, and they have no save. Right? Yeah. In combat, they can have a 4-up ward save, but they have no save, and I'm like, bro. Like, whereas my brain immediately was like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Warriors of Chaos with shields. I'm going to take some battle magic. I'm going to give them a 5-up ward, and my guys are never dying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then my brain went. I was like, but are they ever going to kill anything either? Like, I don't like. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's so interesting. Kill points makes a game very interesting. Not necessarily interactive. That's something people need to really accept. But interesting, definitely.
But I think so. Also, having a really strong primary win condition also means that you are all going to be pulling in the same direction. I think one of the things that it's interesting in the evolution of mission design. There's grounded, at least this. I only know this through 40K. So if this was from somewhere else, that's fine. The notion of asymmetrical missions, where opponents were playing. Basically missions that they didn't share. So like I had objectives and you had objectives. What started to happen a lot in 40K was that, you know, you would get the opposite non-interactivity. So like you would get a situation where, you know, I have to stand on this bus stop, but you have to stand on that bus stop. And, you know, maybe there wouldn't need to be a need to engage. In this one, with kill points, which you point out, like it is possible to be in a points denial army. Like, for example, Wood Elves would be on an open table. Immediately seems like, because magical arrows, by the way, are all the way back. So that means Wood Elves are going to be very good at shooting, and they're going to have very good core unit choices that are very good at shooting, and that can be oppressive unless they can't see you, right? So like their win condition would require that they have to come out to get an angle to see you, to potentially expose themselves and give up kill points. So I think that because both sides are basically fighting to kill each other, it becomes like a fight. You have to, you know, literally pick your battles. You have to know when to push and also know when to protect. You know, like there's things where, you know, you don't get all the points for units that, you know, you get sort of like a de-escalating amount of points as you erode a unit. So if it's 50% or below, I think you get like a quarter of the points. But that means that like it used to be that you got 0% of the points, but now, you know, like protecting that little unit, not committing them to the front or finding a way to get them out of there, that becomes sort of an important. Even though all those little chaff units, the ability to fall back and flee, you know, through your own units, and stuff like that, and protect them, not just give up points. All that stuff makes it a very cagey game. And then I think my next favorite thing that I've loved seeing is that the table is bigger because the distances you can go, like your threat range with the way that charges work now, and this is what in my head I had imagined when we found out about it, is shorter. So there's more room on the table, despite there being larger bases, to actually maneuver around the tabletop. Unless you're Tabletop Tactics, who, if you were watching that game and thinking, this doesn't look right, it's because he was playing on a 60x44. And don't worry, I've already mailed him a 6x4 mat, so he'll be able to fix that. He's He's really struggling these days. He didn't have a 6x4. But also his studio is entirely set up for 40K. So like you get a pass, Lawrence. But yes, by the way, I think 6x4 is the, much like 2,000 points, it's the suggested size. And then if you don't have a 6x4, you may use a 60x44 if you would like. But if you watch the Lawrence Battle Report, immediately it feels tight. It feels like you want the room to move and maneuver. You want that original 6x4 life. As any event that I'm encouraging or participating in, I hope we'll have 6x4s available, and that will definitely be something that I demand. This is not a game. This is a game of maneuver, and I think it does require the slightly bigger dimensions.
Yeah. The nightmare of I'm so triggered. Went back to my ogres. You're losing with your ogres because you're not maneuvering. What's? But he keeps purple certain on me. How do I maneuver out? I don't know.
Ogres. So the other thing is also, and this is actually for me something that I really need to get a game to start to understand, because I'm not a 6ed guy, and I don't really understand when the rubber hits the road how no step up is going to affect how things work.
Yeah,
so
I'm really uncomfortable right now with no step up.
So as just like as just sort of a first pass, just sort of, again, big picture idea around no step up. The idea would be, if you're an 8th edition player, you would take for granted that anyone who was in the front rank was able to fight if they were within base to base contact. Even if the other guy swings before you, they kill 5 models in your 5-person front rank. Well, now the assumption was the guy behind them would step up and fight the dudes, and you would still get your full amount of attacks. In older versions of the game, including actually I think 7th, 6th, basically all of them, that's not how it worked. If you fought, in those days it was on charge, but now it's done on initiative order. If you killed someone in the front rank, they do not get to fight back. They're dead. And so as a result, charges are tremendously powerful and important, as is multiple wounds.
Yeah,
multiple wounds I think is a super big deal. So something like the Fat Boys, the ogres, an army of multiple wound guys with again, very points dense, lots of attacks, very damage output intensive models per model. So if you get in there, you do your 5 wounds. Well, you just killed 1.5 ogres. You're still probably dealing with 3 or 4 of them. They're gonna clobber you right back, even if you do have the charge on them. But that's a whole army of models like that. But you also have trolls out there, chaos ogres out there, all of the monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, which is the combination of the two, I think, most obviously good
bull centaurs, come on.
Unit classes.
Come on,
bull centaurs, maybe.
I don't know. I'm just like, come on. One day they will be good.
So it's interesting. I'm curious to see how that interplay works.
Hey, bud,
yeah.
I want to cycle very quickly through. I forgot something. I'm sorry. I got to get quick. TLDR, dude. Unit fillers officially endorsed. What the?
This?
Like, this is huge. This is huge. Like,
and you know what? It would have been great if this was the only article released that day, and we were just talking about how based it was, how vast.
This is so vast.
This is tremendously vast. They are in GW encouraging you to make something creative in the middle of your unit instead of just forking out more dough for models.
Dude, I'm so excited about this. Yes. So if you don't know how it works, basically when you get a bunch of square base units, you put them on a movement tray always, and then you put them on, not from Games Workshop, just buy them from eBay, buy them from literally anywhere. There's so many. Please buy them. And then inside that, you can, instead of buying another 20 Chaos Warriors, as an example, to fill up your ranks, you just get a base and you put a bunch of stuff on it or some flags. Yeah. Or do you know another great thing? If it fits and works, a monster that you're not currently using in your army, You know, like normally it would see play, but it's not. This is a fantastic way, especially for horde armies. This is really good.
It's a great play. Like put a big, like if you're doing an empire army, like some ogres, like some imperial like themed ogres right in the middle. I've seen is really awesome. Like like baggage train pieces like this. There were like there's the donkey cart from the starter set between dwarfs and orcs make a great centerpiece. There's just basically literally anything you can think of that's cool. You can put in there, and they even recommend up to 25% of the unit. Which is pretty nifty, I have to say.
Yeah. So I just think it's just a very awesome thing that they've showcased. I think it's very cool. It's very thematic. I did say in our top 5 things video, one of the things I'm so excited about is kit bashes, people putting stuff together, looking at what armies look like. Go back and watch that video if you want some hype from yesterday. But we were both very excited about like the things we were excited about. I think this is great. And to be officially endorsed, like this is what I mean. Like they're so absolutely giving us a kiss on the mouth and then punching us in the dick, like on like just on an almost article by article basis. It's wild to see. But this is very fast.
Actually It's to be honest with you, how many other trip ups have they had? I mean, it's one hell of a gaff.
The old models are a trip up, bud.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay. But this is, I think Legacy is kind of part of the old versus new models. Again, if you wanted new models, they could have been like, oh, you don't want the old models? Well, you could just use these ones. They're all new. Anyway. Excuse me. Another big takeaway for me was on the mini Wargame Battle Report, finally seeing the new Tomb King standing next to old Tomb King skeletons. Rob in the chat, we're doing some investigation to see how they scale. And looks like the new Old World stuff is definitely in a modern GW scaling, and is really, really obvious once you see the models on the table.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I think this is a great place to end it, that there is positives. A couple of things, just going to shout out, and anyone who hasn't watched this back or listened to the podcast all the way to this point, don't forget, I think we've got a really healthy community in our Patreon Discord if you want to join up and sign up. I did on our Patreon put up the STLs for 25 mil, 30 mil, and 30 by 60 mil bases that you can download.
Oh, thank you.
That you can download, and then obviously print your own, and they've been designed with a little magnet hole in, so if people want to do that, and if you really do enjoy the show and want to support it, then like and subscribe. I would also like to personally request, if that's cool with everyone, to start like just hashtags either on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, hashtag SquareBast, because I want to start looking through minis. For like, I've been looking through the Old World hashtag as well, but I would love to see some hashtag square-based kind of like tags.
Square-bass.
Well,
Square-bass.
no,
definitely ingrained Square-bass.
Stop messing around, because that would be a huge mistake, as you know, not to like use one S, not two.
Two, because we're like, okay.
Then how will we correlate the show with the tag?
You put the tag in the show. That's what a tag's for, Rob.
All right. Okay. It seems insane to create a tag separate to the show by one letter.
You're right, but it works.
It does not. You might as well just write hashtag nonsense. Anyway, but I would like to see that, because I really want to start looking at armies. I posted up
unique identifiers.
Okay.
Is what you want, Rob.
I've been looking. I've been posting pictures of my armies online. I've been working on a dwarf army. I'm working on a Warriors of Chaos army, as people know. Also, I'm doing a commission of Bretonnian army for someone else. So I'm very excited about. Very excited about just seeing what these armies look like. Especially, I saw someone, shout out to Liam, does a Goonhammer article. He's coming to one of our events. He's done Lumineth Realm Lords as High Elves, and they look great, right?
Okay. Nice.
Also, shout out Rory, also coming to one of our events. He's done a Dwarf army, and it looks just so good. So I'm just kind of excited to see them. Do you know what I mean? Especially like not Tomb King's Bretonnians, because I've seen it a lot already. But like obviously those, I just want to see them. So please do, and tag us and do that other stuff, because I want to see those things. I think they're cool.
I think that is cool. I think actually I want to like float something out in the comments here too, because I think this is we've occasionally included our round-bast partners out there in our intro, and I did see a comment actually on one of the threads whether or not you would make conversion movement trays that have round bases, 32 millimeter into
It's
a
on the
round
list.
base. And this, I think, is a community thing too that I feel very committed to, which is I think 32 millimeter bases should be accepted as 30 millimeter bases. I'm just saying.
What?
I think that's something we should just say is cool. And that if you have an AOS army and you want to join this party, come on over and be able to play that in both. Because again, management decision, that's probably why they made it 30, not 32, is to make you think you have to. So I think as a community, I'd love to see, because I feel like this is going to be much more contentious amongst TOs. I don't know. We'll put it out there. But I think that if you're an event organizer, we're going to want people playing and enjoying and like getting excited as soon as possible. Removing any friction we possibly can, like rebasing, is, I think, like really, really key. I think we need to give people permission to just use their friggin' models as best they can as they have them. And I think maybe we normalize 32 millimeter rounds as 30 millimeter squares. I'm crazy, but let's do it.
Well, I mean, like, none of it matters if it's on a movement tray. If you just have a movement tray with a shape with some models on, I'm fine with it. And Games Workshop are also officially fine with it as well, because that's what a unit filler is, right? So like, you do not need like a great sculpted thing. Like just get the movement tray, the right size, and everything else is just literally secondary.
Amazing.
Beyond that, like, get some round base on there, get a giant on there. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you like. Okay, right. So it's been lovely. We've grossly overrun, which has been great.
It's all right.
I hope you've enjoyed this. A lot of content coming out from us. Hope you are looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to playing. I've got a couple of games lined up, which is going to be cool. And then Val, you got any plans? You got any plans?
I gotta get a play date. Me and Tech Pretty Sticky, man. We gotta get a play date
God,
going.
I'm so jealous.
Or just anything. I just need to make some time and actually have a day of actually like enough talking about all this. I don't want to be that guy who likes to just do podcasts and never actually plays the game. It's easy to do. So I'm going to make some time, and also that also is how you start to engage with the rules, how you start to marinate in them when you actually have things out on the table, trying them out. It's no longer a hypothetical thing you argue on the internet. You actually get to see how things work. So I can't wait to do that. I'm going to make that a priority in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Shout out to everyone on the Honest Wargamer Patreon as well, who help support, set up Square-based stuff. So, and also, if you enjoy this show, last shout out, can we not be AOS people hating on Old World people hating on AOS people? Can everyone just enjoy the things they enjoy? Yeah, like that's
the foundation of this show, Rob.
It is the foundation of this show, but I just want to say it again, because there's been some nonsense, and again, it's quite sad to see. I don't like that. Like, that's unnecessary, and you don't want me to go back to what I was like.
No, please, guys. I said that I was becoming the Rob Symes of the show. No, I am not. No, I'm not. I don't have the fire behind me, guys. I got the fish. I got the basses. Yeah, and also on that fantasy thing, guys. It's over. The war is over. The game's back. You don't have to be resentful of Games Workshop's new significant other in AOS. They took you back, and there's a great game coming. We're gonna have so much fun. So let people enjoy it. And also, the best way to maybe convince an AOS player that Warhammer Fantasy Battles isn't just for old guys who are almost ready to play with trains is to share something you love with them. Let them play with their friggin' round bases and see what the game's all about. I think that's, and maybe. Can go the other way too. But I think this is all awesome, and I can't wait.
Yeah, right, perfect. Right, listen, thanks for being Square-based, Bast, whatever what it is.
Dude, why? Like, you literally only ever say Square-bast until you said that you wanted to start using a hashtag.
From the corners of the world to the edges of the board. That's not the outro.
That's not bad, though.
Thank you. From all four corners of the world to all four corners of the base, you have been listening to the Square Base Show with Val Heffelfinger and Rob.